Good morning. Okay, we're going to continue our readings from the Suriy-i-Haykal, the Suri of the Temple, which is part of a compilation entitled The Summons of the Lord of Hosts, Tablets of Bahá'u'lláh. And we're on page 46. How numerous those who expend all their wealth in the path of God, and whom we find at the hour of his revelation to be of the rebellious and the froward. How many those who keep the fast in the daytime, only to protest against the one by whose very command the ordinance of the fast was first established. Such men are in truth of the ignorant. And how many of those who subsist on the coarsest bread, who take for their only seat the grass of the field, and who undergo every manner of hardship, merely to maintain their superiority in the eyes of men. Thus do we expose their deeds, that this may serve as a warning unto others. These are the ones who subject themselves to all manner of austerities before the gaze of others, in the hope of perpetuating their names, whilst in reality no mention shall remain of them save in the curses and imprecations of the dwellers of earth and heaven. Say, would it profit you in the least, if as ye fondly imagine your names were to endure? Nay, by the Lord of all worlds. Was the idol Uzzah made any greater by this, that its name lived on amidst the worshippers of names? So that I assume that Uzzah was the name of an idol in that the Arabians were worshiping when Muhammad came to abolish idolatry, as well as many other blasphemous things. Nay, by him who is the self of God, the all-glorious, the all-compelling, should your names fade from every mortal mind, and yet God be well pleased with you, ye will indeed be numbered among the treasures of his name, the most hidden. Thus have we sent down our verses, that they may attract you unto the source of all lights, and acquaint you with the purpose of your Lord, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Abstain then from all that hath been forbidden unto you in the book, and eat of the lawful things which God hath provided for your sustenance. Deprive not yourselves of his goodly bestowals, for he verily is the most generous, the Lord of grace abounding. Subject not yourselves to excessive hardships, but follow the way we have made plain unto you through our luminous verses and perspicuous proofs, and be not of the negligent. O concourse of divines, it is not yours to boast, if ye abstain from drinking wine and from similar transgressions which have been forbidden you in the book. For should ye commit such deeds, the dignity of your station would then be tainted in the eyes of the people. Your affairs would be disrupted, and your name disgraced and dishonored. Nay, your true and abiding glory resideth in submission to the word of him who is the eternal truth. and in your inward and outward detachment from aught else besides God, the all-compelling, the Almighty. Great is the blessedness of that divine that hath not allowed knowledge to become a veil between him and the one who is the object of all knowledge, and who, when the self-subsisting appeared, hath turned with a beaming face towards him. He in truth is numbered with the learned. The inmates of paradise seek the blessing of his breath. And his lamp sheddeth its radiance over all who are in heaven and on earth. He verily is numbered with the inheritors of the prophets. He that beholdeth him hath verily beheld the true one, and he that turneth towards him hath verily turned towards God, the Almighty, the All-Wise. So I just want to explain that, Bahá'u'lláh came from an Islamic culture. So in his writings, he often speaks to the Muslims. He often speaks to the followers of the Bab, who then refused to recognize Bahá'u'lláh when he appeared. Sometimes he speaks to the Christians, sometimes he speaks to the Jews, and so forth. And so here, he's addressing all of us, but he's referencing Islamic culture. So he makes reference to the idol Uzza, which was, as I mentioned before, an idol that the Arabians were worshiping at the time of the coming of Muhammad. And then he's talking about the leaders of religion, the Islamic leaders of religion, and as you heard, he's saying, don't brag about not drinking, because if you were to drink, that would totally ruin your reputation among your followers. That's just something you're supposed to do. And then he talks about not exposing oneself to excessive hardships and not refusing to eat certain foods that God has made available. But to follow the teachings, the spiritual teachings about how we as human beings need to interact with God and with the messengers of God and with other human beings. Those are the important teachings. I don't think that this is a reference to not being a vegetarian, because in the Baha'i writings, vegetarianism is highly regarded as being both kind to animals and healthful. But on the other hand, Baha'is can eat whatever they want. That is not a law in the Baha'i faith, what we eat, other than not to partake of things that alter our consciousness. He goes on to say, O ye, the dawning places of knowledge, beware that ye suffer not yourselves to become changed. For as ye change, most men will likewise change. This verily is an injustice unto yourselves and unto others. Unto this beareth witness every man of discernment and insight. Ye are even as a spring. If it be changed, so will the streams that branch out from it be changed. Fear God and be numbered with the godly. In like manner, if the heart of man be corrupted, his limbs will also be corrupted. And similarly, if the root of a tree be corrupted, its branches and its offshoots and its leaves and its fruits will be corrupted. Thus have we set forth similitudes for your instruction, that perchance ye may not be debarred by the things ye possess from attaining unto that which hath been destined for you by him who is the all-glorious, the most bountiful. So what Baha'u'lláh is saying here, as you may already realize, is if you have influence, if you are a leader of religion, or if you're a very knowledgeable or wise person, don't allow yourself to be corrupted, because there are people who are watching you. There are people who are following you. And if you allow yourself to be corrupted, you are going to influence all of those people who are looking up to you as an example. And we all have people who are looking up to us as an example. Our children, our grandchildren, our friends. It's important that we strive to really be the example of what we want the world to be. Like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. That's the whole secret right there. Be the change. Don't wait for the leaders of the country or the leaders of religion or anybody else to do it. You be the change. In our faith, in the Baha'i faith, we don't even have clergy. We have elected councils that meet to take care of business and guide the people. Because we understand that this is the day that shall not be followed by night. This is the coming of the age of man, which means that we are all ministers, we are all preachers, we all need to stand up for the cause of God. This is why I'm doing this. I'm just a regular person. I have no position, but I'm answering the call to stand up for the cause of God because I love it and I believe in it. Let's go on. It is indeed in our power to take up a handful of dust and to adorn it with the vesture of our names. This, however, would be but a sign of our favor, and not an indication of any merit it may have inherently possessed. Thus hath it been revealed in truth by him who is the sovereign revealer, the all-knowing. Consider the black stone, which God hath made a point whereunto all men turn in adoration. Hath this bounty been conferred upon it by virtue of its innate excellence? Nay, by mine own self. Or doth such distinction stem from its intrinsic worth? Nay, by mine own being, whose essence even the wisest and most discerning of men have failed to grasp. So here he's referring to the black stone, which again is an Islamic reference. That is the stone from which Muhammad is said to have ascended to heaven in his night vision. He's saying all the Muslims turn to that black stone, but it's not because the black stone has any intrinsic worth. And he goes on with more Islamic references here, some of which I cannot explain to you. Again, consider the Mosque of Aqsa and the other places which we have made sanctuaries unto the people in every land and region. The honor and distinction they enjoy is in no wise due to their own merit, but stemmeth from their relation to our manifestations, whom we have appointed as the daysprings of our revelation amidst mankind, if ye be of them that understand. In this there lieth a wisdom inscrutable to all save God. Inquire, that he may graciously make plain unto you his purpose. His knowledge verily embraceth all things. Detach yourselves, O people, from the world, and all its vanities, and heed not the call of such as have disbelieved in God and joined partners with him. Arise above the horizon of utterance to extol and praise your Lord the All-Merciful. This is that which God hath purposed for you. Well is it with them who perceive it. So at the beginning of this paragraph, he's talking about holy places that people turn to, in this case, the Muslims. And he's saying it's not because these places have some kind of innate value. It's because they're associated with the manifestation of God for the age in which he lived. So when places become holy or sacred, it's because of this. It's because they're associated with God's messengers. And he also says that the fact that these places are revered is actually something that God hath purposed, and that he has a reason. He has a reason for giving us these places. And if we want to understand, we should ask the manifestation of God for the day in which we live, which, of course, in this day is Bahá'u'lláh. And now that Bahá'u'lláh, of course, has ascended to the next world, he's told us over and over again in his writings to meditate on his writings. And I find that when I don't understand something in the Baha'i writings, I'll just close my eyes, I'll say a little prayer asking God to cast a light into my heart, a light of understanding, and I'll just meditate. And it's amazing because usually when I start this process, I just feel like, oh, there's just no way I'm ever going to understand this. But after I do it, most of the time, I get insight into what it means. It's quite remarkable. Give it a try. I think that, when he talks about how God has appointed special places, I think it's good for us as human beings to have symbols. It helps to open our hearts. So when we go to these places that have been appointed, we invest it with such meaning, and it also has been invested by other pilgrims with such meaning that our hearts are opened and we have divine experiences. Detach yourselves, O people, from the world and all its vanities, and heed not the call of such as have disbelieved in God and joined partners with him. Those who put themselves up as spiritual leaders and do not acknowledge God are joining partners with him. They may have deep insights. They may be very spiritually gifted, but they will lead you astray because they're not willing to submit themselves to the law of God. And I've seen it over and over again. Some of my best friends, some of the people whose insight fills my heart and lifts me up, but they can't get to where they want to go ultimately, because you have to submit yourself. You have to submit your own ego to a power higher than yourself if you want to attain what is called in Christianity eternal life, or satori, or whatever word you use. You can't attain enlightenment if you do not submit yourself to the manifestation of God for the age in which you live, because only the manifestation of God, that person is the only one who can claim to have direct access, which even that is not direct access, because nobody can have direct access, but that is the mouthpiece of God. That is the will of God for the age in which you live. And if you don't turn unto it, if you turn to other teachers, human teachers, they can't get you there. Not ultimately. So, feel free to disagree. Okay, I am going to close this for today. It will be posted on Facebook and on YouTube, and I have the other posts that I've made over the last couple of weeks, so I invite you to check it out. The name of the YouTube channel is Baha'i Readings, and my Facebook page is filled with these transmissions. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow. God bless.